Hello my precious friends, I really hope that you are doing great. Welcome to our today's class. It's our first lesson on the topic bearing. Now there are two types of bearing that you need to note. One, we have what we call the true bearing. Then two, we have what we call the compass bearing. So when it comes to true bearing, there are some two key points that you need to note. One is that for the case of true bearing, the angle is recorded. The angle is usually recorded. The angle is recorded in 3 digits. It is recorded in 3 digits. For example, if you get an angle of 47 degrees, then you are going to record the true bearing of this angle as 0.47 degrees. So it must be 3 digits. If you get an angle of maybe 320 degrees, then this one will just be 320 degrees because it is already in 3 digits. If you get an angle of let's say 9 degrees, then this one you are going to record as 0.09 degrees. Then the other point you need to note as far as true bearing is concerned is that the angle is measured. The angle is measured. We usually measure the angle from the north. We measure the angle from the north in the clockwise direction. So the angle is measured from north in the clockwise direction. So those are the two points that you need to note. Maybe we can look at some examples. For example, if I have this particular point A here, then I have another point B, maybe at this particular point here, then of course these two are connected. So suppose this is my point A, then this is point B, then I am assuming this angle is suppose this angle is 20 degrees, then of course this one will also be 20 degrees because remember this one is usually parallel to this. Similarly, this side is usually parallel to this side. This is usually the northern side, the southern, the eastern, then the western. Similarly, this is east, this is south, this is west, then this is the northern side. So for example, if the question asks you to find the true bearing, maybe to state the true bearing of A from B, the true bearing of A from B, you are going to be at point B. So you measure the angle from the point where you are told from. So we are going to measure the angle from our point B. So in this case, the required angle, remember we've said we record the angle in 3 digits, then the angle is measured from the north. So this is our north in the clockwise direction. So if this is our north, this is the clockwise direction. So this is the angle that is required. So of course, if this is 0, this one is usually 90 degrees, then this is 180 degrees, then this is 270 degrees. Therefore, the whole of this angle will be 270 degrees plus 20 degrees. So this will give you 270 plus 20 degrees, which is going to give you 290 degrees. Therefore, the true bearing of point A from B will be 290 degrees. Remember, this is already in 3 digits. That is why we don't need to add any zeros on it. Now, suppose you also have another other 2 points here. Maybe you have one point which is lower than the other. Suppose maybe this is point P, then the other point is so this is P, then we have another point Q here. Then these 2 points of course are connected. So if this is our point P, suppose this is point P, then this is point Q, then you are told to find the true bearing. Find the true bearing of maybe Q from P. The true bearing of Q from the point P. Then assuming maybe this small angle here, that is the angle from this line. Suppose this angle is maybe 10 degrees, then it also means the other angle here must be 10 degrees because these are usually vertically opposite angles. Since this line is parallel to this, similarly this line is parallel to this. So the true bearing of Q from point P, we are going to measure the angle from the point P. So this is our point P. Therefore, the true bearing will be this remaining angle here, this small angle here. Now, if the whole of this is 90 degrees, then this is 10. It means the remaining angle here will actually be 90 minus 10 degrees. So this will be 90, then minus 10 degrees, which is going to give you 80 degrees. So this will be 80 degrees. Therefore, the true bearing will be the true bearing. You are going to record the angle as 080 degrees. So you are adding 0 because these are 2 digits. So you have said it must be strictly 3 digits. So it will be 80 degrees. Then remember, I'm picking the upper angle because this is where I'm having the north. So the angle is measured from the north in the clockwise direction. Now, suppose maybe for this first case, if you are told maybe to find the true bearing, if you are told to find the true bearing of now maybe B from A, find the true bearing of B from A, then the answer will be, so we are going to measure the angle from our point A. So this is point A, so the required angle is this angle here, so B from A. So the angle will be, if the whole of this is 90 degrees, so it will be 90 plus 20 degrees. So this will give you 90 plus 20 degrees. 90 plus 20, you are going to get 110 degrees. Therefore, the true bearing here will be 110 degrees. Similarly, if you are told to measure the true bearing, maybe the true bearing of, we can talk of P from Q, then you are going to measure from the point Q. So from point Q, you are going to move in a clockwise direction this way. So this is the angle that is required. So if this is 10 degrees, it means the remaining angle up to this line will actually be 90 minus 10, which is 80 degrees. Therefore, it means the whole of this angle will be 180 plus 80 degrees. Therefore, the angle should be 180. Then you add 80 degrees because from here to this point is 180. So you add the 80 degrees. So if you take 180, then you add 80 degrees, you are going to record a true bearing of 260 degrees. Then we move to the second part, what we are calling the compass bearing. Again, there are some key points you need to note as far as compass bearing is concerned. Now, unlike the true bearing, the compass bearing, the angle is recorded as an acute angle. Is recorded as an acute angle. So remember, the acute angle simply means it's an angle less than 90 degrees. Angle less than 90 degrees. An angle less than 90 degrees. So the angle that you record must be less than 90 degrees. Then the angle is measured. The angle or the acute angle. Yeah, actually we can talk of the acute angle. So the acute angle is measured from north south line. It is measured from the north south line, either in the clockwise, or anti-clockwise direction. Then the angle is also recorded in terms of either northeast, or maybe you can have north west. You can also have southeast and southwest. So that is how we record the acute angle. So those are the key 3 points that you need to note as far as compass bearing is concerned. So maybe we can look at examples. Suppose these are 2 points. So maybe this is point A, then we have another point here. If this is our point B, then of course these two are connected. So if this is point A, then this is point B, then you are asked, the question asks you to give the compass bearing. Find the compass bearing of B from A, the compass bearing of point B from A. Suppose this angle is maybe, we can talk of maybe 30 degrees. Then the smaller angle here must also be 30 degrees because these are vertically opposite angles. Therefore, the compass bearing, remember this is the what we are calling the north. Of course, this is the north. This is east. This is west. This is south. This is east. This is south. Then this is west. So the compass bearing of B from A, we are going to measure the angle from the point A. So this is our point A. Therefore, the required angle will be this small angle here. Because remember, so we are supposed to record this angle, but this angle is not in terms of south or east. Remember, we said that the angle is recorded, we record an acute angle, then the angle is measured from the north-south line. So this is what we are calling the north-south line. So if you look at 30 degrees, it is not in contact with the north-south line. Instead, it is in contact with the west-east line. Therefore, we are going to find its corresponding angle that is in contact with the north-south line. So if this is 30 degrees, and we know that the whole of this is should be 90 degrees, therefore it means the remaining angle will be 90, then minus 30 degrees, which will give you 60 degrees. Therefore, the angle that you are going to record will be 60 degrees, simply because 60 degrees is in contact with the north-south line. Therefore, the compass bearing of B from A will be south, because it is in contact with south, then it is also on the eastern side. So it will be south 60 degrees east. South 60 degrees east. Now, suppose the question was find the compass bearing. Suppose the question was find the compass bearing of now A from B. The compass bearing of A from B. This is what you will record. So you are going to measure the angle from the point B. So this is our point B. Then of course the line joining the two is here. So in short, the angle that you are supposed to record is the 30 degrees. But the 30 degrees is not in contact with the north-south line. Instead, it is in contact with the west-east line. Therefore, the angle that you are going to record is this angle that is on the upper side, because this angle is in contact with the north-south line. So if this is 30, the remaining angle will be 60 degrees, because remember the whole of this should be 90 degrees. Therefore, the angle, the compass bearing will be north 60 degrees west. So it will be north 60 degrees west. So that is the angle that you are going to record. Now, suppose you have another point here. Maybe one point is on the upper side, the other one is on the lower side. Maybe this is point P, then this is point Q. Then of course these 2 points are connected by this particular straight line. Then they ask you to find the compass bearing. Find the compass bearing of maybe Q from P. Compass bearing of Q from P. Suppose this angle is maybe I can talk of we can use even 40 degrees. Assuming this angle is 40 degrees, it means also the other upper angle here must be 40 degrees, because these are vertically opposite angles. Of course, this is north, this is east, this is south, this is west, this is north, this is south, this is east, then this is west. So the compass bearing of Q from P, so you measure the angle from the point P. So in short, the required angle is this angle here, because this is the angle that is in contact with the north-south line. So if this is 40 degrees, then we know the whole of this should be 90 degrees. It means the remaining angle here should actually be 50 degrees. Therefore, the compass bearing of Q from P will actually be south 50 degrees west. So the compass bearing will be south 50 degrees west. So because the angle lies between the southern and the western side. Then the compass bearing of P from Q will actually be the compass bearing of P from Q. So the angle we are going to measure it from point Q. So this is our point Q. So the required angle will be this angle that is on the upper side, because this one is in contact with the north-south line. So you cannot use 40 degrees because 40 degrees is in contact with the west-east line. Therefore, the compass bearing of P from Q, if this is 40, the remaining angle will be 50. So this will be north, 50 degrees east. So north, 50 degrees east. So that will be our compass bearing. Then we look at an example so that we see how we can handle that in a question. So we are told that Q is 16 kilometers on a bearing of 040 degrees from the point P. Therefore, our first coordinate to plot will be the point P. So of course, the first thing, you just make a sketch so that you have a rough idea of how the diagram will be. So suppose this is our point P. We are told that Q is 16 kilometers on a bearing of 40 degrees from P. So if this is the north, then 040 degrees, we are going to measure an angle of 40 degrees here. So we need 40 degrees at this particular end to take us to the point that we are calling Q. So then the distance is 16 kilometers from Q to P. Then you are given a scale. You are given a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 2 kilometers. So if 1 centimeter is equals to 2 kilometers, what about 16 kilometers? So this will be 16 kilometers over 2 kilometers multiplied by 1 centimeter, which is going to give you 8 centimeters. Therefore, we shall need 8 centimeters here. Then we are also told that R is directly south of Q. So directly south means, remember, this is the southern direction, this is the east, this is the west, this is the north. So directly south will be, it means this point is on the lower side of this. So R is directly south of Q and east of P. So the eastern of P, so this is the east side of P. So it means the point of intersection of these two will give you the point that we are calling R. And east of P, and S is 12 kilometers on a bearing of 120 degrees from R. So we measure 120 degrees from R. So if this is the north of R, 120 degrees, of course this is 90, this will be 180. So 120 will be somewhere here. So this should give us 120 degrees. So that should take us to the point S. So this should take us to our point S. Then the distance is 12 kilometers. So if 1 centimeter is 2 kilometers, what about our 12 kilometers? So this will be 12 kilometers over 2 kilometers multiplied by 1 centimeter, which will give us 6 centimeters. So here we shall need to measure 6 centimeters. Then, so that is our rough sketch. Once you have the sketch, you can now draw it to scale. So we know that we need to start with point P. Therefore, using your ruler, we need to make a line at our point P. So I need to make a line here. So suppose my point P is here. So I'll make a line. Then I'll make it longer because this line is supposed to intersect with our coordinate at point R. Then using your protractor, ensure that this angle is 90. So you can align your protractor to this particular line, and of course make an angle of 90 degrees. So when I have this, I can where there is 90 degrees, so I'll make the line somehow longer. So where there is 90 degrees, I simply connect them that way. So this is our point P. Then from point P, we need to measure 40 degrees to take us to the point Q. So I'll simply align my protractor this way. Then of course where I have the 40 degrees, I'm going to make another line. So 40 degrees will be, so this is the line going through the 40 degrees. So this is our 40 degrees. Let me make it longer. because I don't know where the other distance that is supposed to be measured will be. So that is my 40 degrees. Then of course, once you have 40 degrees, you need to measure 8 centimeters to go to point Q. So on your pair of compass, you measure 8 centimeters using your ruler, of course. So that is my 8 centimeters. So once you have 8 centimeters, you place it at point P. Then of course you rotate it. Ensure it is strictly 8 centimeters. Then you make an arc. So the point where you've made an arc, that is the point Q. But I need a north pole at point Q. So to construct a north pole, you simply reduce the size of your pair of compass. Just reduce it a little bit. Then you make an arc on this side. Then with the same radius, transfer your pair of compass to this particular point and also make an arc. Remember, we are using the same radius, so make an arc on top of that. Then after that, you take your pair of compass back to the original point, which was the point that is point P. Remember, I'm using the method of parallelogram. That is when you want to construct parallel lines. That is the method that I'm using. So with this, you ensure that your compass goes back to the 8 centimeters this way. Then with 8 centimeters, transfer your pair of compass to this point that you've made here. Then of course, once it is exactly aligning with that point, you make an arc to meet the one with 8 centimeters. You make an arc to meet the one that you had already drawn there. Then after that, using your ruler, connect these 2 points. Connect the point of intersection of this to this other point here. So it will ensure that your angle is 90 degrees. So let me try to make mine to be as accurate as possible. Yeah, so it should be this way, but I need to make it longer. So let me see. So from this point, yeah, you connect it that way. Then this is the point Q. So we need to elongate this line because this line is supposed to meet the point R on the lower side. So let me make it as long as possible. I need to ensure that it is very accurate if I want to get accurate results. Yeah, so this way it takes us to the point R. Then from point R, we need to measure. Remember, you can once you have the north, you can use your protractor this way. You simply put it at this point. Then where there is 90 degrees, you just connect a line through the 90 degrees. Then the line should go through at the point that you have made this way. Then from point R, we need to measure an angle of 120 degrees. So from point R, we are measuring 120 degrees. So this is my point R. So I need to measure an angle of 120 degrees. So 120 will be, I'm using the inner scale. So 0, 80, 120 is here. So I connect these two. So this needs to be exactly 120 degrees. So 120 is here. Then of course I make the line somehow long this way. Then after that, I'm going to remove my protractor. Then I need 6 centimeters. So measure 6 centimeters on your ruler using your pair of compass, exactly 6 centimeters. Then once you've measured 6 centimeters, transfer it to this particular point here this way. Ensure it is strictly 6 centimeters if you want to get accurate results. Then you make an arc. On this line. Then after that, we also need to construct 90 degrees at point R. So I'm using the method of parallelogram method. So using your compass, take your compass to this particular point. Then you can try to reduce the length of your compass this way. You reduce it a little bit, then you make an arc on this line. Then with the same radius, transfer it to the point of intersection of these two, then you also make an arc on the upper side of this particular line. Once you make an arc, you take your compass to this particular original point here. So remember, this was it was actually 6 centimeters, so I'll take it back to 6 centimeters. Yeah, exactly. Once it is at 6 centimeters, you transfer it to this mark that you have made. Then you make an arc. You make an arc on the upper side of that. Then after that, you are going to join the point of intersection of these two. So let me join it from the upper side. So you join these two this way. Then once you've joined those two, you can use your protractor to ensure that the other angle will be 90 degrees, the way I'm doing it. Then you pick a line, then through the 90 degrees you draw a line joining this way. So so this is our diagram that is drawn to scale. Then of course after that you need to label these particular points. So I want to label the points. So remember the first point here, this was point P. Then you make this a north. So this is our north. Then this was point Q. Then you also make this one a north. Then this was point R. You make this a north. This is point R. Then this is point S. So you also make this a north. So this is our point S. Then from the question we are told that using this scale, draw PQRS. So this is our PQRS drawn to scale. Then from the scale drawing, determine the distance PS. So if you want to find the distance PS, you can actually connect the two. You can connect point P to point S. You can connect P to S. So this is my point P, then connected to the point S this way. Then of course you can use your ruler, or similarly you can use your divider. You put it at point P, then ensure that it stretches to point S, then you transfer it to your ruler so that you can measure the length. So for my case, I'm getting 10.8 centimeters. So for Roman 1, I'm getting 10.8 centimeters. So this is part B. So this is B Roman 1. I'm getting the distance as 10.8 centimeters. But the distance should be expressed back to the units stated on the question. In the question, the distances were in kilometers. So using a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 2 kilometers, it means our 10.8 centimeters will be over 1 centimeter, then multiplied by 2 kilometers. Therefore, the distance will be 10.8 multiplied by 2, which is going to give us 10.8 by 2, you'll get 21.6 kilometers. Then Roman 2, B Roman 2 of the question, we are told that determine the true bearing of P from S. So they want the true bearing of P from S. Remember we said that true bearing is recorded in 3 digits. So of P from S. So that means we need to measure the angle at point S. So this is the required angle from point S. The true bearing of P from S. So this is the north of point S. So this is the angle that is required. This is the required angle. This is north. So in order for us to measure this angle, I'm going to use my of course protractor to measure that angle. Of course we know this one is already 180. So the angle of interest is the one that is remaining on this other side. So let me measure it and find its value. So this angle up to this line, if I'm using the inner scale, so from this point I can say I have let me remove this. I can say I have, this is 100, this is 110. So it is in between 100 and 110, which is 105 degrees. So the angle is 105 degrees. Then I'm going to add, remember from this side to here it was already 180, so it will be 180 plus 105. So 105 plus 180 degrees, which is going to give me 105 plus 180 degrees. I'm going to get 285. So this will be 285 degrees. Remember, it is already in 3 digits, so I don't need to add any zeros. Then Roman 3 of the question, they want me to record the compass bearing. Remember, we said compass bearing, we record an acute angle, then we measure it from the north-south line, then we indicate the direction in terms of northeast, northwest, southeast, or southwest. Therefore, the angle that we need to measure is actually, we are supposed to measure this small angle here. So the angle that we need is this angle, P from S. So this is the angle that we are going to record, because it is the upper angle that is in contact with the north-south line. So we cannot pick this angle here, because this angle is in contact with the east-west line, but we need the angle that is in contact with the north-south. Therefore, we need the remaining angle on this upper side. So let me measure it. So let me measure that particular angle on the upper side. So I'm using the outer scale. I'm using the outer scale. So this will be, this is around 70 what? This is 75, because it's between 70 and 80. So this is 75. This angle, this is the angle that we are looking at. So this is 75. I'm getting an angle of 75. Yeah, 75 is an acute angle because it's less than 90 degrees. Then the direction will be north, northwest. So it will be north 75 degrees west. So this is what we are calling the compass bearing of P from the point S. So in our next class, we'll be looking at further examples. Thank you very much for accompanying me until the end of this particular lesson. This is Kind Tuition Academy. You can also suggest other topics that you wish we can go through. Until next